Believe it or not, the Greeks and the Germans are alike in many ways. They maintain strong family ties, keep old traditions going. They have respect for their elders, for each other, and for their families. They are both proud, hard-working, thrifty peoples who enjoy good music combined with fine food and drink. And so it is that the two largest ethnic groups in the Ann Arbor area have developed celebrations and maintained traditions to keep their heritages alive. As with the Germans, the church is a central place for the Greek community. Mr. Frank Kokonakis and his sister, Mrs. Helen Kokalis, have lived in Ann Arbor for over 60 years. I spoke with them about the building of the St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church.
When was it? 1936.
That was 1936.
Tell us a
It was
little
during
about
the Depression. Tell them how
Tell a little bit about
they
the
collect
church.
the money to build it.
During the Depression, we had to go out, and the women, they give some kind of play, you know, to collect the money to put it on the church.
I see.
And then we used to ourselves, somebody put $5, some $10, you know, so we didn't have much money. Nobody has no money. We used to go out sometimes to sell a ticket for 25 cents, and the guy says, "You come back again for tickets?" Because 25 cents was a lot of money those days.
We used to give
Big depression.
dinners for $1.
Dinners for $1, you know, in order to make a few extra dollars to support the church. Finally, we finished it, 1937, and
Mostly, you know, Charlie Practice.
Charlie Practice, and
He was the head.
Poulos and Dames, and Chris Bilakos, and Chris Kokonakis, Frank Kokonakis, Paul Kokonakis, and a few other people here in Ann Arbor. They support the church.
Well, was this when you had your first full-time priest then?
We had first-time priest. He came from
Chios. Greece.
From the island. No, at first before we make the church, we used to go. We have halls. We used to go here and there.
I see.
But after we made the church, we had a priest come in from the island of Chios, and we didn't pay him very much money because the community didn't have much money to
They
pay
only
him.
pay
But he was very
$75 a
nice.
month. That's all he charged. For,
But the community is poor. But after a while, everything began going better. And
So have you been active in the church, Mrs.
very
Kokalis?
much.
I guess before the church, weren't you saying a little earlier you had to go to Detroit?
Yes. We went to Detroit to the holidays and to baptize our children. You know, my two children, they were baptized in Detroit. Evangelismos, they call them, you know.
when I got married, we had to bring the priest from Detroit here to Ann Arbor to marry
He got
me.
married right in the house.
We didn't have no halls. We didn't have things like that. The priest come
We
in.
were happy. Cook right there
State.
and everybody eat right there.
State and Packard. The streetcar used to come from Detroit, and I was living on Hill Street then. Hill and State, between Hill and State and Packard, on those houses there. That's where I got married.
Within the last several years, the Greek community has established an annual Greek festival, much like the one given by the Schwabenverein in the German park. Unlike the German festival, however, the Greek festival is a church-related activity. Mr. Kokonakis and Mrs. Kokalis explained how the Greek festival originated.
Tell us.
We had one minister, a young minister, and he says, we'll have to start something, he says, so we can make money.
Father Anastas, you ever hear him?
Yes.
Yeah, and he was the one who started.
And he says, we'll do this, so he ran out and talked to all the women. He says, you gotta come to the church and make up this and make that, and
Make
they worked for
over
a month.
50,000 pieces of sweets the first year.
So they made very
And
good
they worked
success
on
the
different
first year.
kinds.
The second year they made more success. And then they begin to have the ethnic festival on Main Street.
Right.
One Jewish rabbi and our minister, they got together an idea and they made that the festival. And then they keep on going. They had one this year too also.
Yes, the ethnic festival.
Yes, and they made pretty good.
The first of all, our ladies, we used to give a bake sale. That's how we started. So and that brought the festival along, you know. Says we give dinner with that and it'll be much better and everything else, you know.
The Greek festival is held each summer at the St. Nicholas Church. The title of this year's festival was Yasu, which means health to you. For at least a month before the festival, the Greek ladies in and around Ann Arbor bake sweets to sell of Greek origin, and they sell them at their bake sale. This year, along with the bake sale, they served dinner, which included souvlaki. Plus, they had 2 bars, one at each end of the tent. And for entertainment, professional Greek dancers and singers from Detroit. But perhaps better than professional entertainment was that dancing that was done by the Greek children, who, like the German children, perform in their native costumes. The first Greek family to come to Ann Arbor was the Prekates family. The Prekates brothers arrived around the turn of the century and eventually owned the Sugar Bowl restaurant on Main Street. Among the many interesting anecdotes Mr. Anthony Prekates recounted for me about Ann Arbor history was one that happened in the Sugar Bowl during the Depression.
One Saturday afternoon, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a young lady, probably around 25, nice dark hair and beautiful looking lady, and had with a little child, girl. The girl was about, probably, I would say, not quite 2 years old. She sat in one of the booths in the lower parlor. So
The lower part of the restaurant.
yeah, there's
Right,
a
yes,
lower
so-
parlor and upper parlor, see. And the girl went away to her and says, I want a bowl of hot water. So the girl come up and me says, well, I charged you that. I says, you deliver that. I says, don't, and I'll tell you what you do. But there was place I can stay and I can watch what's going on in the whole place without detecting me, you see. So I saw them days, we used to have a bowl of those oyster crackers and ketchup, mustard, sugar, salt and pepper. It was on them. And as I watched there, she took the ketchup and put some ketchup in the soup, and then took some crackers and put it, and then a little salt and pepper, and start feeding the child.
Oh, my.
I says, you know, that kind of touched me up. I says, all right. I called the girl, come here. I says, go back, so like, order hot sandwich with all the treatments, and take coffee, and take some glass of milk and some ice cream for the child, and take it down the table to this lady. So she did. When there, she looked at her. She says, I didn't order that, you know, because almost tears in her eyes, you know, and it kind of touched me. So I kind of watched it. And said, I only got a dime. I says, don't worry about it. Everything taken care of. So she got through, she come up to me and to thank me. He says, for what? It says, for thank you. Oh, he says, don't worry about it. I says, where are you from? He says, I'm from North. Where are you going? I says, I have a sister in Detroit, and I want to go to her. And that time we had streetcars running, you know, from Detroit up to Chicago. So the fare, if I can recall, was about 35 cents that time, 35 cents to go to Detroit. So I says, well, I says, you know, there's depot, little ways down here, I give her $1. I don't want to say this. I give her $1. I says, you go in. He says, so she thanked me for her. But you know, about 12 years later, she come in one Saturday afternoon in the store and says, do you remember me? I said, my dear lady, I see thousands, millions. Says, your face some kind of, but do you remember that lady who come with a little girl? And she had a beautiful little girl. She wasn't very tall, but, oh, yes. I says, that's my daughter. I says, what are you doing here? I says, I come in to enroll my daughter. She wants to go to school and become teacher. Wonderful. I says, I think her name was Mary Ann. Mary Ann, I remember.
That's a delightful
I said, look,
story.
honey, I says, whenever you want anything, I said, don't be ashamed to come down here and help. Whenever you're downtown, stop in. You know, that can please me. I says, 4 years later, she graduated. Isn't that something?
That's something,
yeah. I can tell so many things that happen, you know, that.
Mr. Preketes speaks for both the Greek and the German communities when he says that there are many similar stories that could be told. We have just given you a glimpse of Ann Arbor's two largest ethnic groups, the Germans and the Greeks, who despite entirely different backgrounds comprise tightly knit, proud, and energetic communities, which have strongly influenced the Ann Arbor we know today. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen, or as the Greeks would say, Kirida.